Ankh and Ma'at. I'm so pleased that you are here with us for Kemetic Ascension, brought to you by the Shrine of Ma'at. I know that there are so many other things that you could be doing on your Sunday, so I'm honored that you've chosen to spend some of your Sunday with us. My name is Jabari Osaze, also known as Heru Jedin Ma'at, Aten Ra, and I'm the co-chief priest of the Shrine of Ma'at. I'm so honored to be here with you. Let me say, you already know what I'm going to start with. When we begin Kemetic Ascension, we want to hear from you. Where in the world are you? And how long have you been part of Kemetic Ascension? Please let us know that you are out there. Let us know where you are, and let us know that you are continuing to be an important part of this gathering known as Kemetic Ascension. Do we have any answers yet?
We're still logging in.
Folks are still logging in. Did I go too quickly? Maybe I did. I can say to you that we are here on January 29th. Can you imagine that we are already at the end of the first month of January? It seems like this year is moving quickly already. There's been so much going on. And so I know that you probably are feeling the same pace as I am. Can I go ahead and ask for you all to let us know once again where you are in the world and how long you have been part of this gathering, how long you have been coming here to celebrate the traditions of your ancient African ancestors in the Hopi Valley region.
We have Brandon Hughes. Tell us where you're from.
Ankh and Ma'at, send Brandon.
Sunette Cheryl from DMV, 5 years.
Ankh and Ma'at, one of our full members, one of our is Brandon Hughes. Send Brandon is one of our full members as well, isn't he? Is it different Brandon? I might have the last name wrong. Sunette Cheryl is one of our very active members. Ankh and Ma'at to you, Ankh and Ma'at.
Chris Barber out in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Ankh and Ma'at. I don't think that we often hear people from Salt Lake City, Utah. Welcome.
Joanne Jahiadisa from Columbus, Georgia, 4 years watching.
Ankh and Ma'at. That's certainly a familiar name. Ankh and Ma'at to you.
Send Jason Holmes out in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Out in Lincoln, Nebraska. He has been involved for a very long time. Ankh and Ma'at to you, one of our full members.
Send Timothy Forever, the Jati.
Ankh and Ma'at, and I still need to get to him and figure out what the heck we're doing. It has been extremely busy. I'm working on right now about 2.5 hours sleep. It's been extremely busy. Ankh and Ma'at to you.
Sunette Benita Shetton. Something we haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you.
Ankh and Ma'at to you. Ankh and Ma'at. She and I chatted a little bit earlier this week.
Chris Barber says 2 years he's been with us.
Ankh and Ma'at. Chris.
Sunette Cortia.
One of our full members. Does she say Atlanta? Because ain't nobody I know in Atlanta actually lives in Atlanta. They live like on the outskirts of Atlanta. But Ankh and Ma'at to you. I definitely got to see her when I was down there, and I should be planning a return for that museum as well. Ankh and Ma'at.
We have that wonderful couple, the Schaefers, with us for 3 years.
Ankh and Ma'at to you. And we know that they are off on the continent of Africa, probably in Kemet right now. Ankh and Ma'at to you.
We have LAS. Tell us where you're from and how long you've been with us. Let's see. Send Curtis Jackson.
Ankh and Ma'at.
Painesville, Ohio, since 2020.
Ankh and Ma'at. I hope that you are doing well, Send Curtis. I know you had some health challenges, but you are strong, and I know that you are healing. Ankh and Ma'at, one of our full members.
We have Everett Winchester, so he's trying to go on the trip with us. Please join us on our website, shrineofma'at.org or centerforma'at.com.
Yes.
Where we have the information about our trip to Kemet.
Yes. And you should know that we are obviously doing a whole lot, and we're going to be traveling to Kemet and to Ghana this year, as we do every year. It is going to be a magnificent trip. So I'm really looking forward to so many of you joining us. Ankh and Ma'at to you.
We have Kevin Shacks. How are you? Tell us where you're from.
Ankin Ma'at.
Heru Asar Ankara. Heru Asar Ank Amunra, let me get that right. Out in Dallas, Texas, with us for 4 years.
Ankin Ma'at, another name Anika likes to say.
Shane Watcher, good to see you, Sacramento, California.
Shane the Watcher 616.
616.
Yes, Ankin Ma'at. He's in this universe. This universe. Ankin Ma'at to you.
Washington, KLT.
Yeah, Ankin Ma'at to you.
Emma Dredson, that's where you're from.
Ankin Ma'at.
Benita's out in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Is that where Benita is? I'm not sure if I knew exactly where Benita was. Ankin Ma'at to you.
And Zoe Sarabo out in Phoenix, Arizona, less than a year.
Ankin Ma'at. That's a name that I've become familiar with. Ankin Ma'at to you.
Tassetsi from snowy Denver, Colorado.
Is it snowy right there in Denver? Denver is one of those places you expect snow because people actually travel there to ski. Ankin Ma'at. I'm asking because New York City usually has had one or two, at least measurable snows, and it is now, 2 days before the end of January, and we have not had a measurable snow. It's really unusual. We're not going to in January at all. We've already looked at the weather forecast. This is the longest in 50 years since New York City has had a measurable snow, we're approaching 330 days since measurable snow, which is, I almost said good because I hate shoveling, but I also am concerned that this might speak to some larger issues in our environment. So go figure. Ankin Ma'at to you.
Okay, we have Kirby Williams out in Columbia, South Carolina.
Ankin Ma'at. Oh, and welcome. Ankin Ma'at to you.
Okay. Sinette Sakina Ra with us for 2 years.
Ankin Ma'at, one of our full members. Ankin Ma'at, very active. Now one of the moderators on Sonetter's platform, assisting that platform to move forward to. Ankin Ma'at to you.
Yeah. Melinda Merritt from Americus, Georgia. Studies Ma'at history for 40 years or more.
Ankin Ma'at. I want to hear more about that. Ankin Ma'at. I wasn't sure. It was like I wanted to say some more. Ankin Ma'at to you.
So Brandon, he says, is from Riverdale, Georgia.
Riverdale, Georgia. I don't know Riverdale. Not that I know most of Georgia, but Ankin Ma'at to you. Wonderful.
We have Divine Crow of Carolina. Good to see you.
Ankin Ma'at.
Sterile World, tell us where you're from.
Ankin Ma'at.
Onolo Ignatius Maluleke. I'm sorry if I messed that up.
I think you were struggling with that one last time too.
From South Africa.
And Sekhmet Bast on that name? That's a long name. Ankin Ma'at. And South Africa is certainly the furthest away that we have heard today. Ankin Ma'at. Now, I think you were on last time. Are you in Joburg? Is that what we heard? That you're in Joburg?
So MF Dredson is representing Kentucky, the Appalachian Middle East of America.
I have never heard Kentucky described that way. Ankin Ma'at to you. I've never been to Kentucky. I know Anika has been to Kentucky. She lectured in Kentucky last year. I think it was
2 years.
2 years ago.
College.
Yeah, at Berea. That was
Berea.
Berea College. Yes. Ankin Ma'at. Anika is just getting back from lecturing in Mississippi. You should know. So she's dragging just like I'm dragging. She got back late yesterday. So Ankin Ma'at.
And interesting enough, Terry Green. From St. Nick, now in Mississippi, we just mentioned. I was actually in your neck of the woods for about a day and a half.
Yeah.
We have Heru Jehuti Pata Umika Temra.
Ankin Ma'at, another name that you see, you hear she likes to say those names. Ankin Ma'at to you.
Oakland, California.
Oakland, Oaktown. Ankin Ma'at to you on the West Coast.
And we have Sen Gavin online with us.
Sen Gavin, yes. I assume that Sen Gavin Stokes would be here. He's one of our full members. And in a moment, we need to acknowledge that he's had a loss in his family, and a loss in his family is a loss in our family. And so we should do this now, actually, I think, now that we know that he's here. I should just go ahead and say that Sen Gavin has lost his brother-in-law. Sen Gavin and his wife and his entire family are challenged by it. His brother-in-law's name was Mark Settlers, and we should just go ahead and set your divine intention, family. Let's pray for the successful journey of this new ancestor, Mark Settlers. So we ask for the divine Neteru and the ancestors to gather around the Stokes family, to gather around the Settlers family, to gather around the entire family and give them solace. This is a troubling time when you lose someone close to you and they're making that journey. It might feel like they will never be with you again. They'll never be able to laugh with you again, cry with you again, eat with you again. But recognize that Sen Mark Settlers is still here and he will communicate. We only ask for the ancestors and the Neteru to guide his successful journey on the boat of Ra. We ask for there not to even be one rough wave that will crash upon the bark. We ask that the path will be made straight, that he will arrive and not even have to have his soul weighed. And we ask for the solace of the entire family. Certainly we ask for the solace of our full member, Sen Gavin. And we also ask for solace for his beloved wife, Shayla, and his daughter, Nyla. And we have to also say that the mother, what a challenging time it is to lose your child. The mother of Sen Mark, Elder Donna, is also dealing with this. And of course, his sister Toya is dealing with this. We want all of us to set our divine intentions, to galvanize our divine energies, and to send them their way, to ensure that even though they know that Mark is still with them, even though they know that death does not destroy us, we know that they will still be in sorrow. And so we ask for them to have solace. We ask for them to have peace. We ask for them to be gathered as a family as they remember the journey of this new ancestor. Remember the legacy of this new ancestor. And we ask that Sen Mark, when he is successfully situated amongst the most golden of souls, we ask for him to reach out to his family. Please allow his message to be clear. Allow his words to be made plain. Allow them to be able to hear and feel that he is safe, that he is in peace, and that he still loves them. We say, Twanter, Twanter, Twalwinter. Sen Gavin, I know that this is a tough time and we're with you. If there's anything that we can do, I know that it might seem like the DMV area is far, but it's really not that far. If there's anything that we can do, please let us know. Because we know that it's hard. It's hard when you lose a close family member. I know your wife and particularly his mother and sister must be really thinking about all those times in his upbringing that hopefully will also make them smile as they think about this loss. So please let us know if there's anything we can do to help. Yes, yes, yes.
Wonderful.
Are there other folks that have gathered?
So Kevin Shack says he's from Lansing, Michigan.
Ankh and Ma'at to you.
Mhm.
Hope all is well. Lansing, Michigan. Lansing, Michigan. Didn't Malcolm X, El Hajj El Shabazz spend some time in Lansing? I know I believe he was born in Omaha, Nebraska. We don't always think about Black folk in Nebraska. There's a Black community everywhere in the country. But I believe that he also spent time in Lansing, Michigan. Not a place I've been.
We have question me. Welcome. Tell us where you're from again.
Ankh and Ma'at to you with a K, right?
Yes.
Yes, a regular attendee. Ankh and Ma'at to you.
Jeremy Browder back with us from Mobile, Alabama, around half a year.
Ankh and Ma'at to you from Mobile, Alabama. We have a full member in Alabama. Talking about Sen Lee.
Brandon Hughes says, can't wait for the next museum tour in Atlanta.
Yeah, it's time for me to get back over there. I went last year and it really is. We pledged that we would be doing museum tours at about 6 or 7 museums in the United States. And honestly, it's been so busy that we haven't done many of them. I did do a private tour for a young man's 13th birthday yesterday at the Metropolitan Museum. It was amazing. Prince Amir and his father Abdul is the one that set up the tour, and it was a lot of fun to do a tour with young people. So definitely, I'm available for those as well.
We have Shu Amun out in Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Ankin Ma'at to you out in Virginia, Fredericksburg. Ankin Ma'at.
And Sterile World is also in Virginia.
Sterile World? Sterile like
SCRL.
SCRL.
STERL.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure what that means. I wonder what that means. Sterile World. It must mean something. Ankin Ma'at to you.
The Neophyte Sage from London.
Ankin Ma'at to you, a regular attendee, Neophyte Sage. I love the juxtaposition of the name, right? Neophyte Sage. Ankin Ma'at to you. Hopefully we'll get out there soon as well and go see that British Museum and the Petrie Museum and meet those people of African descent that are in London as well. I'm going to be, I enrolled in another master's program. I'm thinking London is not that close to Chichester, but it's about 2 hours away. But hopefully there'll be a time that I'll be able to get out there as well. And I know that if I go to University of Chichester in person, and I go without Anika, I won't be able to come back home. So hopefully we'll be able to get back out your way soon. Ankin Ma'at to you.
We have Sinette Ladyhead Davis.
Am I correct?
In Colorado.
I can't go to London and go enjoy all that because we had a good time in London. We did, didn't we? Yeah. Ankin Ma'at to you. And Ankin Ma'at to Ladyhead Davis, one of our full members. Ankin Ma'at, Sinette.
It's Sinette B, who's asking about a shrine party in spring.
She's asked probably about the shrine party that as he's calling himself, Uncle Ames, one of our full priests, is putting together a party. Is that the party she's referring to, or is she asking for another party? Because it could be his party that he's putting together. Uncle Ames, Abu Ames, and I are going to be chatting about it this week as well. He's planning to do something in probably April, May, so that folks can get together and have fun. Ankin Ma'at.
Sinette Adenike out in the Gambia.
Ankin Ma'at to you out in the Gambia. Still not a place that we've been. And I know that we want to go. Seems like diasporan Africans are saying a lot about Gambia, right? There are those places on the continent that diasporan Africans are beginning to flock to. And it's probably been about 3 or 4 years now that we've heard diasporan Africans say, hey, you got to come to the Gambia. So definitely we're hearing, obviously we always hear about Ghana. We hear about the Gambia now. And we're beginning to hear a lot more about Sierra Leone as well, that folks are headed in those places. 2 of the 3, Anika and I have not been yet. So hopefully we'll get a chance to go there soon too.
DZ Ankh out in Buffalo.
Ankin Ma'at to you, DZ Ankh. I'm hearing that Buffalo has had more snow than it has had in many years. I hope you're still doing well out there.
Sinette Shenka.
Ankin Ma'at to Sinette Shenka. I got to speak to Sinette Shenka this week also. Ankin Ma'at to you. I hope all is well. Out in the DMV area, one of our very active members, Ankin Ma'at.
Noble Lloyd Lithcott. Tell us where you're from.
Ankin Ma'at. I think I might have heard that name before. Ankin Ma'at.
Benolo Maluleke says yes, Johannesburg.
Yeah, I thought he was in Joburg. Ankin Ma'at. There's so much on the continent that I want to be able to go and see. And I know Anika and I have been asked to come to South Africa so many times. By the time we get there, the folks that we love out there are probably going to just tell us off just because they've been trying to get us to come and spend time in South Africa for at least the last 20 years. So definitely it's one of those places we have to get to.
And Jaheem Ray out in Woodbridge, Virginia.
Ankin Ma'at, Ankin Ma'at.
And Cleo Ford, we'll remember.
Ankin Ma'at to you, Sen Cleo. Here in New York City, Ankin Ma'at. I want to say he's in Queens. Ankin Ma'at to you.
We have San Ron Green out in Alton, Illinois.
Ankin Ma'at, one of our regulars. Ankin Ma'at to you.
Buana Habuziki in Lansing, Michigan.
Okay, that's not a name I've heard. Ankin Ma'at to
Okay,
you.
you're missing nothing in Lansing, Michigan.
Is that what he said? Oh, man. Ankin Ma'at, Ankin Ma'at. I'm sure there's stuff to do there. There are New York City folks, and New York City is a very populated place that is just really an enclave of enclaves. There are people who are bored here, so I'm sure there's lots of stuff to do that you're probably just through with because you've done it so many times.
Question, he says, congratulations on your professorship.
Oh, Dwa, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, I'm now a professor at Hunter College. Ankin Ma'at. That's one of the things that's been happening that has been so busy. And while it was working in sort of the ether and in the background, I wasn't really saying much about it. Anika told me to be quiet. Be quiet. Don't tell nobody. Wait till it comes into existence. You didn't tell me that? No? You were okay with me telling people? Maybe it was just my mom that was telling me to be quiet. So certainly Anika is why it came into fruition in the first place. She put some of the wheels in motion. So Ankin Ma'at and wow. So you're a good.
So it's lobbying.
50 years of lobbying. I don't know what they were waiting for. But yeah, it's good that it happened, but it certainly took a while, didn't it? Man. Yeah, he's from I believe he was born in Omaha or near Omaha. That's what I read in the autobiography years ago. Yeah, wow. And of course then Jason is a history buff like me, so he would recognize that. Yeah, wonderful.
Stanley Kepler Heru McCoy in Mobile, Alabama.
Stanley Kepler Heru McCoy. Kepler Heru McCoy. Okay, I will remember that. One of our full members, active member. I told you we had a member in Alabama. He's there. Ankin Ma'at to you, Sen.
Benita says that Sarah World is a brother that supports some of this channel too.
Do you recognize the name, Benita Renekes? Okay, good. Ankin Ma'at.
We have Sinette Tashi out in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Ankin Ma'at to you. Ankin Ma'at. Sinette Tashi. Haven't seen you in a while, but I know she's active both in the shrine and also on with the lighthouse. Hope all is well, Sinette.
Aladella heads up New York City.
Ankin Ma'at.
Okay, we have someone called Farting Mammal.
That's really not a bad name if you think about it. Ankin Ma'at to you.
Okay, Danielle Knight.
And I think I've heard that name before too, by the way.
Welcome, Danielle. Tell us where you're from.
Ankin Ma'at.
I think that's it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Ankin Ma'at to you all.
Janelle Valentine Hill.
Ankin Ma'at, another name that we've heard before. I'm not sure why, but Ankin Ma'at to you. Let me just go ahead and say to you all, greetings to you all. I'm so honored that you're here for Kemetic Ascension. You know that when we gather for Kemetic Ascension, really the first thing that we do is the ceremony that was brought to us by our elder, Baba Heru Ankh Ra Samad Se Patah. And so we ask for you to stand with us to get into the position of adoration. I'm sure that most of you know what that position is. You're going to stand upright and you're going to take just a bit of a stride forward with your left foot. And then you'll raise your palms and expose them in front of you. As you expose them in front of you, the left palm can move a bit further forward than the right, and the right palm can be also a little further, a little lower than the left as well. And remember, you're not breaking your hands like this unless I see people do that. That's not how we see it on the walls. If you're even going to break your wrists at all, only do it ever so slightly, okay? This is a position of adoration. We see it replicate thousands of years that our ancient Kemetic ancestors were demonstrating how they connect themselves to the divine energies that pervade this universe. As you do this, you're going to take a breath from here, deep in your belly. Don't breathe from here, breathe from here. And then you're going to chant the word of everlasting life as the beginning of this ceremony known as the opening of the way. Please do this with us.
Anetrak in Bethet.
Anetrak in Bethet.
Nuke in Bethet.
Nuke in Bethet. Anetrak Hapi.
Anetrak Hapi.
Nuke Hapi.
Nuke Hapi.
Twau Inter.
Twau Inter.
Turn to the right.
Anetrak Serket.
Anetrak Serket.
Nuke Serket.
Nuke Serket. Anetrak Kebsenu.
Anetrak Kebsenu.
Nuke Kebsenu.
Nuke Kebsenu.
Twau Inter.
Twau Inter. Anetrak Ast.
Anetrak Ast.
Nuke Ast.
Nuke Ast. Anetrak Amset.
Anetrak Amset.
Nuke Amset.
Nuke Amset.
Twau Inter.
Twau Inter. Anetrak Neat.
Anetrak Neat.
Nuke Neat.
Nuke Neat. Anetrak Dwa Mutef.
Anetrak Dwa Mutef.
Nuke Dwa Mutef.
Nuke Dwa Mutef.
Twau Inter.
Twau Inter. Anetrak Newt.
Anetrak Newt.
Nuke Newt.
Nuke Newt. Anetrak Gab.
Anetrak Gab.
Nuke Gab.
Nuke Gab.
Twau Inter.
Twau Inter.
Anetrak Shu.
Anetrak Shu.
Shu. Shu. Shu. Shu. Nuke Shu.
Anetrak Tefnut.
Anetrak Tefnut. 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 Nuke Tefnut. Twau Inter. Anetrak Paut Interu. Nuke Paut Interu. Anetrak and Boo Interu. Nuke and Boo Interu. Twau Inter. Twau Inter. Dwa, 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 dwa. Dwa for doing the opening of the way with us. This is the ceremony that was put into its current configuration, created by Baba Heru Ankara Samad Shepata, our shrine elder, the keeper and founder of the Shrine of Ptah, the shrine that Anika and I actually were initiated into, really. That's probably a clearer way to say it. Initiated into back in the late 90s. And this particular ceremony helps remind us of how powerful we are. And so I ask that if you are dealing with all of those trials and tribulations that you know that we must deal with, be prepared to do the opening of the way whenever you're about to do something important. And as I always say to you, your day is certainly to the opening of the way at the opening of your day. With that, at this point of our gathering, you know that we usually go into what we call Hessi. Hessi. And Hessi is the manner in which our ancestors galvanized these divine energies so they could actually harmonize with each other, chant with each other, affirm with each other the everlasting sense and principles of the Neteru. So today we're going to play another Hessi by that wonderful couple who is now out in that Hessi known as the Qumran Hessi, right, honey? So please go ahead and enjoy the Qumran Hessi by the Schaeffers. I love that Hessi. It's one of the oldies but goodies from the Shrine of Ptah, right? Kum ra, kum ra, kum he ru ra, kum he ru ra ra. Kum ra 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 ra, kum he ru ra, kum he ru ra ra. I'm really hoping that you learn that Hessi. It's been an important Hessi in our tradition for decades. And it loosely translates to the mystery of the hidden sun is revealed to my face. The mystery of the hidden sun is revealed to my face. And in the Shrine of Ptah, folks would sometimes start in that Hessi and just continue. I mean, it would just go on and on and on, and they'd sing it around, and it would go on for some time. Some of the sisters would get up and start doing those flowing dances with their long lappas, their long skirts, and the brothers would be on the drum and on the tambourine, and I mean, it was a pretty amazing thing. So hopefully you get to learn the Hessi as well, because you should recognize that utilizing that Hessi allows you to really get into a particular energy, and so we're hoping you do that. Today, as we talk about what we call the word from the Sebaid, I have to say to you that my energy, it's not just that I'm tired, but my energy has been sapped. And I honestly have to say that I considered for a moment whether I would even talk about this issue today, just because I really felt like I didn't necessarily have the emotional, spiritual bandwidth to deal with it again. And as I was thinking that, I just realized that so many of you must be in a similar place. And who am I as the co-chief priest to say that, because I don't feel like I have the energy to deal with this issue of police brutality again, that I should not deal with it for our community. But I'm going to say to you that I have been so harmed, and I know many of you have also been harmed by yet another police killing of an unarmed Black man. I'm talking about Tyree Nichols from Memphis, Tennessee. In Memphis, Tennessee, I believe he was actually from LA. And this is just one of those really painful situations. I mean, it hurts, right? We look at this brother, 29-year-old Black man, father of a child. My understanding is that his frame was a bit slight because he suffered from Crohn's disease. And so while he was tall, he was also quite small. And all of the people who describe him say that he was really just a gentle soul, liked to skateboard, really loved to take pictures of sunsets, and also worked for FedEx in that area as well. And this young man was on his way home, and when he was stopped extremely forcefully by the police, police in a particular crime unit known as the Scorpion Unit in Memphis, Tennessee. And I know that I have watched the videos. I decided that I would not play them here for several reasons. One, because I'm assuming that you have seen much of it too. And sometimes, while we need to see the videos, right, because we need to see what is happening so that we can address what's happening, police officers are paid by public dollars. And when someone that you pay is doing something incorrectly, you should know what they're doing. But I think that sometimes what could happen is that we could watch these videos so much that we actually become injured by the videos themselves. And so I don't want to do that to you. I just want to just recap what happened so that we're clear about what happened. And it's painful again. It's painful. It's painful not just because this has happened so many times to Black men particularly, but also Black women, who are doing nothing but living their lives. And it's also painful because we know that he's not going to be the last one, that there is possibly even someone who was killed shortly before him or shortly after him, and we just haven't heard his name. One of the reasons why we are hearing about Tyre Nichols is because there's video. Another reason why we are hearing about Tyre Nichols is because the mayor and the police chief, a Black female as a police chief, by the way, decided they were going to move very quickly. They fired the 5 police officers involved. I want to say to you, there are likely more. There should be more firings coming. And they charged these 5 men, 5 Black men, with second-degree murder. Now we have lots of questions. Here's an image of them, certainly not video. I'm not going to do that to you, but an image of these 5 officers brutally beating him. And the only person that was seeking to de-escalate was Tyre. You kept hearing him say, all right, all right, all right, all right. I'm complying is what he was trying to say. And instead, from the beginning, they were profane, they were angered, enraged, hostile. And I'm not even pretending that you haven't seen this before, because I know personally that I've encountered police that have treated me that way when I was really doing nothing. Personally. Thankfully, I must say, dua to the Neteru that I am here to stand here to speak to you today. But I know that you have experienced police officers behaving badly, because that's what they do in our neighborhood very often. And yes, it doesn't necessarily mean that Black police officers will behave differently than Tamil police officers. That police officers of African descent often behave in a similar manner. Not always, but often behave in a similar manner. I can't say always. We have folks that are in law enforcement that are strong members of our shrine. I know that when I met one of our priests, Abu Waziri, Vernon Wells, when I met him, I was doing workshops in police precincts on conflict resolution. And I remember walking in front of the precinct here in Harlem and seeing a police officer with long locks come out of the precinct. I remember thinking, that brother's different than the rest of these police. And I looked at him and he said, peace, brother, how you doing? And we ended up talking. And he is one of the priests of the shrine. He's the chief minister of the African village here in New York City. It is not everybody. It is not everybody. But you should know that it is too many who behave in this manner. It's a good thing that these officers have or will likely be held accountable. It's a good thing that they will likely be held accountable, but it shouldn't just be them. There's some word now. Obviously, if you've seen the video, there is a Tomahawk police officer that was initially using the taser. And when Tyree Nichols recognized that he was in mortal jeopardy and ran away, and they chased him, he says on camera, "I hope they stomp him." This gives you the sense that this is normal behavior for the police. He knew what they were going to do before they did it. He said he got a barb from his taser into that profane word. I know I've heard some folks in the police community on television say that there's an unwritten rule in the police department, in many police departments, that if you make them run, they're going to beat you. And I have to say to you, clearly, when you see Tyree run, he is initially doing everything they ask him to do, even though he is terrified. But he begins to recognize that with all of the demands they're making, none of those demands are ceasing with compliance. So he runs. And when they catch him, they beat him brutally for over 3 minutes. And then he is left on the side of a police cruiser for over another 15 minutes as EMS and the fire department arrive. They do nothing, even though he is in major, major, major jeopardy. 3 days after this, he dies in the hospital. And I have to just say to you that this is not unusual. Often it ends in death, but you should know that the police are often involved with Black folks who are doing nothing. You might remember me talking about in the New York Times, the article in 2018 of a woman who calls the police on Black folks who are barbecuing in the park. By the way, she says they shouldn't be barbecuing in the park. And of course, the New York Times checks, and it is absolutely fine to barbecue in this area of the park. But the police have to arrive for that. There's a man who in Atlanta who the police were called on because he was babysitting a little white child. And a white woman came and said, this Tamil woman says, "Are you in danger?" And he's like, "No, this is my babysitter." And of course, the police are called. How about the neighbor who called the police on two 12-year-olds and I think a 14-year-old who were trying to make a little money by mowing the lawns of their neighbors? These sorts of things are not unusual. Take a look here at this little girl. She's over here raking. You can play it. Go ahead.
Stay off the street. So you see the police car right here. My neighbors that stay in that house right here. So I guess I have like a line where part of it is not my yard. They called the police to tell the police that the kids was cutting their grass. Who does that? Who does that? They call the police for everything. They call the police because my kids were throwing snowballs. They call the police because my child was crying because he was getting a whipping. Who does that? I'm not moving unless I want to move. Who calls the police for everything? They should be glad these kids not out here breaking their car windows out. They should be glad the kids not out here still in their cars. You call the police because the kids is out here cutting the grass and they cut the grass that wasn't a part of our grass. I don't know what part is my grass and what part is your grass. He back to talking to the police. That's the police car. Who does that, Jackie? Who calls the police because kids that's between the ages of, how old are you, baby? He's 9 years old. They are walking around, cutting grass. It's 2 young men and 2 young ladies. After this 9-year-old just got killed, like, love out loud, baby. You knew her because you went to school with her, didn't you? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm so glad you out here doing something positive. You should not be getting a police call on you because you out here cutting grass. Yes, I'm going live because I'm so angry right now. I am so angry right now. This is like totally ridiculous.
Could you go inside or around the corner?
It's
up to you where we go. I just want my hand there.
all right, Facebook Live, but like I said, this is totally ridiculous. Like, I'm so angry right now that these babies is going through this. Then the police called on them because they're cutting grass. Totally ridiculous.
So I want you to think about what you just saw. There's so many things that we could talk about. Did you see the posture of the young man? If you look at him, he was trying to understand this world that he is navigating. He looked confused and pained. And as she talks about a little girl that has been killed, he says, I knew her. She was in my class. I want you to recognize that what is happening for this child is that the system is violently attacking him in ways that seem subtle to others. And this is the system that he is beginning to attempt to understand. That even when he is doing something productive, he is seen as a criminal. This is the world that Tyree Nichols was operating in. There will be people that say, why did he run? Even though he was clearly being beaten while he was complying. He ran because he realized they were going to kill him, and they did. That's the world that we are living in. And I want to say to you, family, that while we know that our enslavement, our bondage and chains has ended, the reality is that the remnants of that system of subjugation are still here with us every moment we draw breath. And this young man has to now learn a set of rules that are always changing. He thought he was doing something good. And he has to ask himself, if this is not something that is good, if this is not something I can do, what is? This is painful. This is painful. And I honestly will say to you that I'm rarely at a loss for words. I'm at a loss for words. I'm in pain again. And I say to you again, I'm in pain, not just because of what happened to this young man who was killed, the 29-year-old man who was killed, who, similar to George Floyd, cried out for his mother as he was being killed. But I also know that he will not be the last. And I'm going to say to you, family, so many of us in the Kemetic community have thought about these issues. Some of us in the community are partially in this particular spiritual tradition because we recognize that we live in a society that seeks to destroy all things African. And we're pushing back in our spiritual traditions. I am pleading with you. Pleading with you to one of the loving critiques I have for the Kemetic community is that we are often off to our own, that we interact with our own, that we're not necessarily involved in those things that are going on in our community, but not in the Kemetic enclave of our community. I'm going to say to you, it is time for us to do more. And while you may feel similar to the way that I feel, look at this image of Tamir Rice, a 12-year-old that was killed for doing nothing but playing with a toy gun. You know how many American children this pain. Feel that there's nothing that you do, but I want to give you the words of Ptah-hotep. Perhaps these words will help you recognize that we can win. What he says in his maxims. He says, Ma'at is good and its worth is lasting. It has not been disturbed since the day of its creation. Whereas he who transgresses its ordinance is punished. It lies as a path in front, even of him who knows nothing. Wrongdoing has never yet brought its venture to port. Folks, are you able to hear us? Looks like we had a technical glitch. Apparently, StreamYard might have crashed for a moment. Please?
We had intermittent service.
Is that what it said?
Well, no, some of the people were saying the reception's poor.
I wonder why. I wonder why. That's odd. Please let us know if you're able to hear us. We're back? Okay. We won't be much longer because I'm really not trying to belabor this point. I want you to get involved today. But listen to what Ptah-hotep says. He says, Ma'at is good and its worth is lasting. Since he who transgresses it, even of him, has never yet brought its venture to port. It is true that evil may gain wealth, but the strength of truth is that it lasts. A man can say, it was the property of my father. And I want to say to you, that portion there, that it's true that evil may gain wealth, but the strength of truth is that it's last. I want you to recognize that you are seeing an ancient version of another maxim. Do you remember this one? Listen to what Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King says, and yes, we're back at him. He said, we shall overcome because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it's towards. Might seem that those who are involved with Isfet, that those who find themselves wrapped in a blanket that prevents them from doing Ma'at, living Ma'at, speaking Ma'at, thinking Ma'at. It might seem that those individuals are successful. Ptah-hotep, very wealth, but the power of Ma'at is that it lasts. In other words, it will be there in the end. And Dr. Martin Luther King says, we shall overcome because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. This is the same sentiment. The same sentiment. So I want us to think about Ma'at for a moment. And look at this image of Ma'at standing here, so kneeling here. This is from the tomb, the temple of Kamambo, in the northern section of Ascension. As those who are the emblems of Ma'at. Listen to what I have suggested. One, the balance of truth in the criminal justice focuses on people of African descent with finding ways for kids to be kids. We need to balance the criminal justice system for people of African descent and find ways to allow kids to be kids. Because you see that child there, we need to recognize that he is being harmed. And we have to find ways to tell him that. Number two, we have to develop the emotional, spiritual, psycho self-care plans that will allow us to be in this struggle for the long haul. I was injured by hearing about what happened to Tyree Nichols. I can feel it today. I'm heavier. And I know that so many of you are also injured by it. We have to develop self-care plans. Because we have to also see these are like terrorism. It must be called terrorism. There's the individual who is physically harmed that is harmed. It is the entire community that is harmed. And that is what I'm most plans. 3, become involved with movements for justice. It must be 4, that we have to have a history of Africans, because we need to recognize that there is a reason why we are under attack. And we also need to recognize that we are not under attack because our cultures are inferior. We are not under attack because our who gave so much to the world. That is what we must do. We must study our ancient history, study our contemporary history, see what we've done in the face of this subjugation. And then finally, Kemetic shrines must be spaces for a dialogue of things more than spirituality. We have to do more. We have to be involved more. We can't just talk about spirituality when our members and people in our families are being killed in the street and treated as less than animals. We have to make sure that our Ma'at will be involved. You are going to hear full members first. You are going to hear more about some of our plans around our criminal justice committee and the committee that will deal with brothers and sisters who are locked down. We will be doing that really soon. We've been planning and planning and planning. Our plans were set aside by the pandemic, but we are ready to move once again. So please think about these 5 things and see how you can become involved. And today, please, if you are injured like I was injured by viewing these horrendous images, please make sure that you are doing something to care for yourself, because you are going to need to find ways to draw energy and life. Finally, as you look at this image of Ma'at, I want you to notice that above Ma'at is an image of Heh. In this image is almost like Ma'at Heh. Do you notice that, Anika?
Mhm.
This is Ma'at eternal. Do you notice that? It's not just Ma'at, but Ma'at is holding the palm ribs with the Hek, the frog on the bottom. So they are saying that Ma'at is eternal. That's why I show you this image. This is a fascinating image. I've not seen Ma'at depicted this way before, but this is the depiction that you see in the temple of Kamambo. So I want you to remember that our ancestors recognized that we would face difficult times, but they expected us to do those things that will allow us to once more be the most shining beings on the planet. With that, I say the divine force in me greets the divine force in you. Please take care of yourselves, family, so that you are able to be who you should be. With that, Anika, can you come forward for the final affirmation?
Tepu family, I want to say Dwawu for all of your donations. We really appreciate all that you have provided to the shrine to help us continue the work that we do. I know many of you have had questions about the activities that we have going on. So for those of you who are interested in becoming full members of the Shrine, recognize that our application process has begun. It actually started back in December for those who are interested in going through the 14-week initiation process. So please visit our website at www.shrineofmaat.org for more information and to download your application and to submit it before the middle of February, because we'll be starting our sessions very soon. Also, for those of you who are interested in traveling us to either Kemet or Ghana or both, we still have some seats left, so please make sure you put in your deposits and, if possible, make your payments as soon as possible so we can solidify all of your arrangements. And that information is also available on the Shrine website. But for the brochure, please visit our business site at www.centerformaat.com. You can download the full brochure and it'll give you all the information and itinerary for both trips. So hopefully you'll be able to join us.
Yes, yes. Family, please do the work. And hopefully you'll seek to do some more work with the Shrine, because we're looking to do quite a bit as well, so that we can help. We can do our bit in changing this challenge that people of African descent continue to find themselves meeting with on a daily basis. So I'm hoping that you will join us in this movement as well.
So as always, I'd like to end with one of the oldest prayers found in our book known as the Reo in Perts and Heruengir, the chapters of coming forth from day to day from night, misnomered as the Book of the Dead. So please follow after me. I will say it in the words of our ancestors, the language of our ancestors, the Metanetter, and then repeat it in English. So you'll stand in the pose of adoration. We will start as such. Amasu en Paenter.
Amasu en Paenter.
Sauksu.
Sauksu.
Emitra.
Emitra.
En Paenter.
En Paenter.
Autu.
Autu.
Aura.
Aura.
Maketi Pa.
Maketi Pa.
Herura.
Herura.
Give yourself to the One Most High.
Give yourself to One Most High.
Keep yourself daily for the divine.
Keep yourself daily for the divine.
And do it tomorrow.
And do it tomorrow.
Just as you did it today.
Just as you did it today.
Twa winter.
Twa winter.
Thank you to the divine. Thank you to all of you.
Family, please enjoy the rest of your day and continue to do the work. Be the vessel of Ma'at. We'll be with you. Shema Ma'at, go forth in divine balance. Peace.